Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Larry.
Welcome to MANOPOD,
A podcast dedicated to men over 50.
brought to you by MANOPAUSE.com. Hi, and welcome to MANOPAUSE, our MANOPOD, with today's guest, Rick Dugdale, the president of Enderby Entertainment. We've been friends with Rick for many, many years, and Rick produces lots of movies all over the world. And welcome, Rick.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. Nice to talk to you guys.
Talk to us about your latest trilogy that's coming out. We'd love to hear about it.
So it's called Intrigo. Intrigo, Death of an Author, which is behind me. That came out a couple months ago from Lionsgate. And it's an anthology. And so the second part, Dear Agnes, which came out May 5th, and the third one called Samaria was due to come out in September. But due to the crisis, Lionsgate had pulled the release up. So now all three films are available as of May 5th.
Available where?
So you can get them on Amazon Prime, iTunes, DirecTV, Dish. I think anywhere you can rent or purchase a film. The only place you wouldn't get them right away is Netflix or television.
Now, I saw Death of an Author already several months ago when you had a theatrical release. And it was beautifully shot, interesting Agatha Christie kind of a story. Where did these stories come from? Who wrote this?
So this was a project that we shot in the Balkans primarily. All three films were shot back to back in Croatia, Slovenia, Serbia, and Belgium. We shot the summer of 2018. They were written as originally a book written by Håkan Nesser, who's known to be the Stephen King of Scandinavia, or the godfather of Swedish crime, not me saying this is other people that have said this. So he's a wonderful, amazing writer who wrote these series of books that then was approached by Daniel Alfredson, who is the director and the screenwriter of this project, who said to Håkan that, what about putting these three books together in one story, one book? So it was republished as Intrigo, and that became the genesis of this project, including a fourth story that was written for us exclusively called Tom, and that is in the Intrigo publication, which means Tom will be the next film that we intend to shoot, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a little bit more intellectual crime. It's not a bunch of heads being blown off. You have to think about it a little bit, and it's suspenseful. So I think it's going to have a good audience here in the States. I think people are looking for something, where you have to think a little bit.
Got great actors too.
Yeah, I mean, I think
the actors.
I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that it's definitely sophisticated, and it is an intellectual audience. I think going into it, trying to figure out your target demographic, this isn't something that needs to be a big theatrical release. This is something that people will find, especially for the American audience, with the US release happening on May 5th, especially, is that if the audience, first of all, Daniel was the director of the Swedish trilogy, the Millennium series, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. He directed the girl who kicked the hornet's nest and The Girl Who Played with Fire. So you definitely have, a seasoned Swedish director who's from that space, who now creates, we took that business model essentially, but shot with English actors in English before the book was released ultimately. So what I like about the three films being available finally all at once now is that you hope that an audience actually watches all three and judges us on that, because you'll find the Easter eggs and you'll find the breadcrumbs. And that's where it's, very Hitchcockian, and Agatha Christie is one that comes up too. Mm-hmm. If you watch all three, you'll see a few elements that appear in all three movies.
So Ben Kingsley is in the first. Is he in all three?
He's not, because they're all standalone films as well.
Okay.
So you can watch them one by one, and his character is not potentially a character that crosses over. But, we did have, I think we read 996 actors for 90 parts, or 93 parts, I think. So It's a full UK cast, and what it allowed us to do was discover for ourselves some amazing UK talent. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you actually have got to see Samaria yet, or Dear Agnes for that matter, but
I read the books.
Not yet.
Stories. But for me, maybe it's part of getting older. What I really appreciate about movies like this is using I mean, obviously Ben Kingsley is Ben Kingsley, but using actors that are less familiar for me draws me into the movie more, because I'm not thinking, hey, Tom Hanks is doing a great job playing this guy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's that character, because I don't know the actor. So to me, he's the character or she's the character. I love that about these
Yeah,
characters.
you have an actor, I'm not quite sure of his name, you'll let us know. He's on Broadchurch.
Yeah, Andrew Bucket.
Yes, he's excellent.
He's incredible, actually. And you bring up a good point, Larry, because when you're casting a lot of these films, is that if you put Anthony Hopkins in a movie or Ben Kingsley, and it just becomes Ben Kingsley playing Ben Kingsley,
Right.
It immediately, as the audience member, like you're saying, is it just I'm watching Ben Kingsley play a detective or
Right.
an ordinary man playing a
Right.
general. So it sometimes can pull you away from it if you're not careful. For this particular film, Death of an Author, I think even if it was Ben Kingsley playing Ben Kingsley, he fit the part so well that it worked, you know. And so for that, if you look at someone like Benno Furman, who is not only now a dear friend, he is so talented and such an incredible actor that I hope other people, especially in the U.S. audience, will discover him as well. But I think his performance is so well done. In Dear Agnes, you have Carla Juri. Jamie Sivis is another one like that. The audience, he's done amazing work in Chernobyl and I think Frontier he was in with Jason Momoa. An amazing actor. And you have their performances stand on their own. So you will discover them because you see how good their performance is.
Right.
So it's going to be good for the U.S. market to see these people as well.
That's great.
So,
Well, can't wait to see the other two. We saw the first one, and it's great. And it's really interesting to have 3 in a row that you can just watch, because that'll make it so much more interesting for people to follow the stories, and it's different. You don't usually see that. So this may be really a good opportunity for you guys as producers to be able to show all 3.
We're looking at like binge viewing ultimately, and it does make sense to pull the release date up because people are sitting at home watching films, and
right.
We've managed to go the entire quarantine without turning on Netflix once. But maybe people will.
Well, you and your wife were doing an interesting thing where you were doing like the top 100 Oscar films or something like that, where you were checking things out and watching them chronologically, I think, right?
Yeah, so it's actually been, as a filmmaker especially, very interesting and educational, and a lot of these films we've seen. But so what we've done is we've watched the Academy Best Picture Oscar winner from the inception of the Oscars, and we're seeing how far we can go. So every night we've watched a film. That's why we haven't turned on Netflix. Last night we watched Ben-Hur. A little longer night, of course.
Yeah.
But we started in 1928, and we're now at 1960.
Nice.
And the internal rules are, and there's a few friends and colleagues doing this as well, if you have seen a film in the last 5 years, fine, you don't need to watch it. But you got to watch it in order, and you got to keep going all the way in order. And, it's, 1928 started with Wings, and now we're at Ben-Hur 1960. And
it's easy to follow all of those or find them all?
Yeah, they're primarily all on Amazon Prime, which means rental, right? It's $3.99 rental. There are a few that we had to find on Vudu, but almost all are on Amazon. But it's been interesting as a filmmaker because you see that the technology and the shifts changing of how to capture a scene, you know, and like on Marty, and some expert can tell me otherwise, but Marty was in 1955, I believe, 54, Ernest Borgnine. Amazing performance in black and white. And it seems to be the first time, and again, these are the winners, so it could have been happening in other films, but it seemed to be the first time that there was a dolly push-in for a close-up. You hadn't seen it in any films up until that date, but there's a dolly push-in. And again, some films that didn't win might have done it 10 years earlier, but so you're seeing a lot of the changes. Grand Hotel, where it was kind of all wides, there was no close-ups because they had very little coverage probably back in the day. And then you start to see coverage because they had multiple camera setups. It's very interesting to go through the process. And also, I'd like to find other people who have watched all these Oscar winners in this close proximity of time ever, because you are able to identify that. You're able to see the changes, the cultural shifts of society internationally, and all the period of war movies that are being made, because write what you know. And if you're living in 5 or 6 years of war, you write war movies. And so there's a lot of war movies. It's very cool to do.
The interesting thing I've found is because I when I do take a break and watch stuff, sometimes I'll watch an older movie. I've been watching a couple of old Paul Newman ones, like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and all that. But when you go back even farther, you know, they even on TM's, what is it, Turner Movie Class, they have like silent movies. And you watch that and you watch the actors and you watch the script, which comes up. It's very short. And that's because they were silent, right? So they had to emote. And then you get into the talkies and it's like, I mean, the dialogue is just like rapid fire. And then you see it evolve into today again, where they've gone back to nuance. They go for expression. They go for don't tell, show. So it's an interesting change over those years.
I've never looked at it that way. I think when they went to talkies, maybe the screenwriters were trying to make up for lost time.
Exactly.
To plant their flag that we're the most important thing.
Yeah.
Read all of our lines here. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how's the independent movie making business surviving now with all of this?
Yeah, I think, you know, for us and for a lot of production companies, what you can do right now is you can develop and you can package and put projects together and do your financing deals. Nobody can be shooting, obviously, and you can't generate revenue, obviously. So I think there's a lot of companies like ours that, you know, we got to be shooting, you got to make revenue. Fortunately for us, we have 3 films in the can and 3 films to release. Obviously 2 got released, you know, a couple days ago. We have another film coming out November 10th. So for us, brand awareness, market exposure, we're talking to agents every day about our projects and distribution and marketing. So we're still able to stay very relevant with what we're doing and within the industry. What you're seeing is, and there's obviously been a lot of discussions about, you know, how does the business come out of this and how different it's going to look. There's been a lot of articles, a lot of smarter people than myself putting these think tanks together and coming up with protocols. But what we've been able to do, because we have a pretty diverse slate, and we were supposed to be in production in April on 2 films, actually, and we obviously had to shut them down. But what we're doing is, because we work so international, a lot of our projects are coming up, especially we're internationals, we've been trying to keep our finger on the pulse what's happening in each country that pertains to our project. Every country will have different rules and regulations when the lights come on. But the most, you know, universal fact is you are not going to have a large gathering, whether it's in Germany or South Africa or Canada. And so you're not going to shoot a Marvel movie. You're not going to shoot House of Cards, because that's 250 people required on a set for Marvel anyways. So what does a film look like? What does a set look like? There's going to be a lot of excess that I believe has been there the last 20 years, especially since I've started, a lot of excess that didn't need to be there. And I think maybe it's from a lot of the unions and guilds that help facilitate that excess that are going to now have to think otherwise, because it's not tied to manpower and workforce, it's tied to health and safety.
Right.
So the numbers are going to drop. Where the independents come in and where the independents might be the resurgent of the independents is 2 things. One is we're quick and nimble and we can get into production faster. So we have a slate of films that we were working on before the pandemic that are made with 50 people or less. I mean, I'm picking that number because we will get to that number, but it's smaller movies of 100 or less originally. Now we'll figure out a way to do it with 48 crew and 2 actors. The Shining, Misery, Winter's Bone, 127 hours. You can shoot those as soon as the lights come on.
Castaway 2?
Castaway, yeah, exactly. Cameraman, audio guy with a boom, and Tom Hanks.
The ball.
So yeah, and the ball. Yeah, he would have, you know, his trailer probably, an equipment trailer with the gym equipment. But what you're seeing is, as long as you can have these films be commercial elements, so that major distributors want them, and they're not the indie Sundancey festival movies, the theatrical distributors are going to need the content, but they don't necessarily want to just pick up anything when the lights come on. So if you can make a commercial movie with 50 people or less, meaning star-driven, that's going to work for the studios, which now means that's how you're going to fill the theaters next year, which means the independents start to reign once again. And it'll be the independent movies that are playing in theaters if an audience goes back to the theater, which is the next critical element. So in the independent space, I think we're well positioned. We are going to be those ones when the lights come on, we're going to be in line first. And we're already taking those steps right now to put a whole slate of films together that we'll shoot between now and the next shutdown, which we anticipate to be November.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really good.
Yeah, unfortunately. I hope you're wrong, but you're probably right.
But what you're seeing is on these think tanks, is we have a lot of in the know, high level people in a lot of these territories that are multiple sources. They're being asked for how many films can you get in the can between July and November, which means they're in post in November and they shut down from November to June of next year, which a lot of countries are anticipating. That's where guys like us come in. If we can quickly shoot these 4 features, then we're in a good position.
Oh, that's great.
What about animation? I mean, do you think because a lot of those people work separately, that animation may sort of come on strong?
Yeah, animation, as you guessed, yes, is booming. Fortunately, we have a couple animated projects that are definitely being fast-tracked. If we could get the new draft of the script shortly, we hope to set that up. The only thing about animation is it still takes time to make. So the fastest you could probably make an animated film and take to market is probably 12 months, and that's really pushing it. But you're looking at 14 to 18 months to take to market. So where are we as an industry and as a distribution cycle in 18 months? You might be back to normal, and then there's this flood of animated product coming to the market, and then you're kind of competing with that too. So what can you be shooting today and close a financing deal? Yeah, you could do that with animation, certainly.
So some of the other movies that you've done that are coming out, and you were nice enough to share some of the scripts with us that we read. One was it was called Peace, and now it's called
Recon.
Recon, which is a much better title. I like that title. What's that?
It rolls off the tongue too.
Right.
What's that about?
It's like Peter Griffin, the way he says Roadhouse. Recon, yeah. It's a World War II film based on a best-selling book by Richard Bausch called Peace. And yes, the title was originally called Peace. And every time you release a film, I must be 50-50 for titles changing on films I've actually produced. A lot of it, titles change for many different reasons. For this one in particular, it didn't come across like a war film. And also, if you Google Peace, good luck finding the movie Peace.
Right.
So there's those factors as well. And Google, meaning if you search online to watch the movie, you're never going to find the film. So, but it's a true story based on a team of soldiers who were sent up over the other side of the mountain to confirm whether or not there was the Nazis were on the other side. And so it's a bit of a morality tale because one of their sergeants has killed an innocent girl, and they're having to ask themselves, why are they in this if they're killing innocent people?
Right. Yeah, no, it's a good story. That's already available on Amazon Prime, right?
No. The film comes out November 10th, actually.
Oh, okay.
And there'll be a trailer coming out soon. It's coming out around the country in theaters, actually, the day before Veterans Day. And then it'll be, the details are being worked out, but it's going to be across the country in theaters November 10th.
And then already you have a couple of films. One was had some great actors in it and was really creepy, Blackway. That's available where?
That is available. I believe it's on Netflix right now, but it's on Amazon Prime.
And just a real quick summary, what's that one about?
That's also based on a book, actually. That's called Go With Me originally, and that is about a girl's being harassed, which is played by Julia Stiles, in this small Oregon logging town by the old, the bad guy who owns the logging outfit, drug cartel kind of thing.
Ray
Liotta, yeah.
Right. Great stars. And Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
It doesn't get any better than Anthony Hopkins, right?
Yeah, no, it was
amazing.
Great. Julia Stiles teams with Anthony Hopkins and Alexander Ludwig to go take down Blackway, Ray Liotta.
That was great. That was a great movie.
Definitely worth checking out. So now the other thing, Mike and I did a podcast together when we could with your partner and a guy we just absolutely love, Dan Petrie Jr.
Royalty.
He told
Royalty in the business.
Oh, pedigree, lovely man.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you guys work together on Enderby, and how does that work in terms of the two of you? Who does what and how?
Yeah, look, Dan is a huge mentor to me in my career, and we actually teamed up. We met officially in 1999 doing a film called The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he was one of the writers and exec producers. That was back in my location manager days, and we officially set the company up for Enderby in 2006, as me being the internal producer for films that he'd be directing and writing. And so from 2006 to today, we've slowly grown the company to where it is. And so Dan and I run the company. He's a partner in the company and obviously a major shareholder. And he's focused on the creative side of things. He's got a lot of scripts that he's writing that we're in development on, including a couple of big ones that we think will be some of our biggest projects today. And so,
well, he wrote Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah.
And The Big Easy,
which is making a comeback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's rumblings of a TV series that we're working on.
That could be awesome.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Now for that. Yeah, we're pretty excited about that project.
And Enderby Entertainment, that's a town in Canada, right?
Yes, it's a small town in central British Columbia where I was born and raised. And we picked that name because we were in a position we had to quickly pick a name. And so Dan was the one that said, well, why don't we name it after a city that we're from? But Manhattan's taken already, so how about Enderby? And that's how Enderby Entertainment became. And now we like the name. It's good. So if you search Enderby, I think on Google, I believe our company is higher ranked than the city of Enderby. So
right.
Great.
Yeah, that's in the Okanagan Valley, right, where all the great wine is produced.
It's Canada's booming wine region. It's time to make Sideways the sequel.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick though, before we kind of finish up, you guys also made a series of really creepy horror movies that were shot in an interesting way, and Mike and I had the opportunity to learn a little bit about that, and we were frankly amazed at how those movies were produced in such an amazing way on the budgets and just the way you did it in a short period of time. Tell us a little bit about your horror division.
Yeah, so first of all, we started making those in 2009, and it was during a window where the DVD market was still going strong, especially in Europe, so you could make them for a low cost and be very little risk. It was also during the technological boom of consumer cameras and Canon 5Ds and 7Ds. I think we shot on some of those that were consumer-friendly cameras that you'd be able to deliver the specs to release in theaters. And some of those movies did go smaller theatrical screens across the country. So, I think now that market and that financial model is difficult to make for those budgets because they were still, sub $1 million budgets. But, it's our genre division. It's called Tony 7 Films. It was technically a genre division. We shut it down briefly in 2012. And we just picked it back up again last year, and it's transitioning it more to a farm team kind of film school program where we're looking to do stuff sub 1 million, where we can work with new emerging filmmakers and screenwriters.
No, that's great.
It doesn't have to be horror. It doesn't have to be any specific genre, except for drama. We can't make a drama at that level, but we're looking for new emerging filmmakers to work with.
And those movies you can see also where, like The Haunting at Silver Falls is the one that comes to mind.
Yeah. I mean, Haunting at Silver Falls is a good film, actually. It's still available.
And you did two. You did two of them.
We did a sequel. That was the one that when we got back into action on the Tony 7 film division, that was what we did first. We did the sequel to Silver Falls 2. I believe they're both on Amazon Prime. You can get them. I don't think they're on Netflix currently, but they were. They're out there.
They're fun movies.
You also did a fun one with Scott Eastwood and Rita Wilson and Jeff Fahey.
Well, it was fun.
Dawn Patrol.
The story was fun. It was fun for us because we got to watch them make some of it. But
right,
yeah,
cool.
like a typical film I do, a nice romantic comedy. A dark independent film shot in Ventura, California, and we shot that in 2013, where Dan directed, of course. And that was actually Dan's, I don't want to say comeback, but he had taken a long gap when he was president of the Writers Guild to focus on that. So that was his first film coming out of that as a director. That wasn't a 75-day shoot in a studio movie. So we shot that on a small schedule, small budget. But
Dawn Patrol, it's called, right?
Dawn Patrol, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How much time do we have left? Because I would love for Rick just to tell one little story.
Yeah, keep going.
Do we have enough time?
Yeah, we got 15 minutes, yeah.
Okay. So we had the honor of being present at your wedding.
Wait, okay.
Can you just tell a little bit about that? Because that is such a great story for everybody to know about you and your wife and how that happened.
You know what? Why don't we save that for another interview?
That's a long story.
Okay, but he did get married in a castle in England, and it was the most amazing thing ever.
It was pretty spectacular, yes.
Okay.
That's a longer interview, yes.
Okay.
Well, anyways, we'll wrap this one up for now. And it's always great seeing you in regards to the family and everything. And we'll hopefully be getting together when all this lifts. But we'd love you to come back and tell us more, especially once you get back into production.
Right.
We'll do a night call with you in Bulgaria or God knows.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But, I think we should definitely do this again. So
yeah. And congrats on MANOPAUSE launch. And I know you guys have been passionate about this for so long. We're really excited about what you guys are doing with that as well. So really congrats on it.
Thanks.
So, we'll be in touch. That was Rick Dugdale from Enderby Entertainment. Go see his films on Amazon Prime. They're definitely worth it. They're great movies, great fun. So thanks a lot, Rick.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Okay.
All right.
You too.
Larry and Mike here to tell you about a great product that's saving relationships across the country.
The company is called Manscaped, and their lawnmower is the grooming system for those private areas that look like a briar patch.
That's right.
Get yours at manopause.com and get 20% off with Manopause 20. The code is Manopause 20. The whole family will thank us. You ready, Larry?
I'm ready. Let's do it.